Greetings to you viewers from across the globe. You're welcome to the show, Viewpoints, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. I'm your host, Odiawa AI for Veegil Media. You do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Veegil Media, and follow us across various social media platforms. And don't forget to download the Veegil app on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Welcome once again. I do believe you're having a thunderous Thursday. Now, we'll be talking about the COP28 Jamboree. I'm talking about the COP28 Jamboree. Now, when I mean COP28, I'm not talking football here. It's still politically based discussion here. Now, recent news making the rounds or reports has it that the delegates which actually accompanied the chief executive, by that I mean President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to the UAE for the COP28 summit or meeting, has actually enraged Nigerians, millions of Nigerians actually, asking why this king size or bogus entourage accompanying the chief executive for the COP28 meeting in the UAE. Now, what actually is the COP28 and where is it? The COP28 is actually the 28th annual United Nations climate meeting, where governments from nations around the world or across the globe discuss on how to limit and prepare for future climate change. The summit is being held in Dubai, in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, between 30th November and up until the 12th of December 2023. Now, what does the COP actually stand for? The COP stands for the Conference of Parties, whereby the parties here in question, now I'm not talking about your get-together here, I'm talking about parties here in question, are actually nations or countries that have actually signed up to the original United Nations Climate Agreement as far back as 1992. Now, a question will arise such as, why is COP28 important, particularly to a member nation or country as Nigeria? Well, it is hoped that COP28 will help keep alive the goal of limiting long-term global temperature rises from 1.5 Celsius. Now, this was agreed by nearly 200 countries in Paris as at 2015. The 1.5 Celsius projection is crucial actually to avoid most damaging impacts of climate change, according to the UN's climate body, which is the COP, the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, the IPCC. Now, currently, long-term warming currently stands at about 1.1 Celsius or 1.2 Celsius compared with the pre-industrial era. Now, the pre-industrial era, which is before human beings began to burn fossil fuels, that is actually our PMS, which actually emits all sorts of smoke, which is hazardous to the environment. Now, be that as it may, recent estimates suggest that the world is currently on track for about 2.4 Celsius to 2.7 Celsius of warming by 2100. I mean, year 2100. Although the exact numbers are actually uncertain. As a result, the window for keeping the 1.5 Celsius limit is in the 1.5 Celsius limit in which is rapidly narrowing, and this is according to the United Nations body, the COP. Now, that's a brief insight on the Conference of Parties, the COP, I mean, a United Nations climate body, where governments across the nation or across the globe, or yes, across the globe, I beg your pardon, discuss how to limit and prepare for future climatic change. Now, coming down home, addressing Nigeria, we are not disputing the facts now, or I'm not out to actually discredit or go against the international organization or bodies in which the nation Nigeria belongs to. So far, it is in good interest of the nation. But what I'm totally against is the exorbitant public funds which are actually disbursed to take care or cater for delegates or participants on trips to these global meetings. For a nation battling with economic chaos or crisis, shabby infrastructure and mass destitution, President Bola Tinubu's king-sized delegation or jumbo delegation to the climate change conference in the UAE, United Arab Emirates, to observers such as myself, is grossly insensitive. Now, according to media reports, Nigeria, with 1,411 participants, has the largest contingent from Africa and the third largest in the world. Given that it services debt with 98% of its revenue, the trip is a provocative waste, as far as I'm concerned, of public resources and is offensive to the ears of millions of Nigerians who are currently grappling with poverty or destitution. Now, since the inauguration of May 29, this administration has demonstrated an unsettling love or desire for trips overseas abroad. Having already visited 10 countries, all at public expense, the administration's extravagant outreach to 13-day Dubai conference has affected more public outrage. We could see it on our national dailies or even on talk shows on various media platforms. This evidently entrenches the continuous culture of waste, which is insensitive, and lack of focus of the nation's government circles. It clearly depicts the prevailing, it might turn perception or motivation of the country's current political class. Now, it's quite funny that each ruling party has a power-sharing formula. Some administrations ago, 16 years ago, I mean to be precise, it was a case of geopolitics in the same name of zoning. It's quite amusing that public service and self-sacrifice often counts for little. They enjoy the luxuries and perks of offices, and that's all matters more to them. Because to me, all this needs to be reviewed. As a state governor, you're collecting or receiving your benefits even after leaving office. Then even as a minister, you are still receiving your benefits again. But yet still, the nation languishes or wallows in abject poverty. And then budgets are being made, passed, and we are not seeing the impact of these budgetary allowances. It becomes a topic of discussion which we need to wine and dine about. Now, most surprisingly, in a lame defense, a presidential spokesperson, Temitope Ajayi, she actually explained that the presidency is only sponsoring a few officials. Another official later said 422. Now, this argument that Nigeria should have the largest African delegation at the COP, the Conference of Parties, because it is Africa's largest economy. Now, frankly speaking, this excuse or lame defense is not just hollow, but empty and void. Amusingly, this administration, like its predecessors before it, does not fully grasp the enormity of Nigeria's multiple crises. Here is a nation whereby 1,197 medical doctors have relocated abroad since taking office. Some hospitals, as we speak, some hospital units are reportedly shutting down or closing shop across the nation. Why? Because of lack of medical personnel. Moreover, they inherited a crisis of this, his own economic policies will add to at least 7.1 million more persons to the 133 million Nigerians living in multi-dimensional destitution as aggregated by the National Bureau of Statistics in 2022. Now, not forgetting almost every morning, the Naira exchange in a balloon manner at the parallel market. As we speak now, the dollar is over 1,000 Naira. Don't also forget food items, which are fast approaching the festive season. Food items are currently priced out of reach of the majority of Nigerians due to insecurity. There were 555 violent maimings or assassinations by criminals in the first 45 days of this administration while in office, as stated by the SBM intelligence. 8 National Youth Service Corps NYSC members and many others are languishing in the dens of kidnappers months after abductions. Many states currently are under siege of criminals or all sorts of criminality of all sorts. Frankly speaking, in my own view and in my own opinion, this administration has no convincing defense for its king-size or jumbo-sized Congress of party contingents, which it actually went in with en masse entourage. Current financial realities rather dictate that Nigeria should drastically reduce or cut down the cost of governance, because trips like this can be handled by relevant public officials attending with a lean size or meager size entourage. As we speak now, currently, the US, the United States, one of the world's three largest polluters behind China and India, jointly accounting for 52% of the global total per world carbon atlas, is currently attending the Congress of Parties without its chief executive, Joe Biden. The US delegation is actually led by the Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, who happens to be John Kerry, and Vice President Kamala Harris. They will be attending only for 2 days. Now you can imagine that. That is quite lean-sized enough. Now the US has a bigger stake, but a more sensitive and accountable leadership, judging from the attendees of delegates which I've actually mentioned. Now the current administration should be different. Might I suggest a hands-on leader? Going back now memory lane, ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo reportedly traveled overseas 103 times to 97 countries in his first presidential term, excluding his medical tours. Likewise, ex-president Muhammad Buhari, who was in 40 countries during 84 trips. The excuses for looking for investment and mobilizing against insecurity have fallen flat, frankly speaking. Now, on a final note, these trips are mostly, I would say, wasteful. The Tinubu administration should understand this and build the home front first of all. But if these trips are actually to entertain the Nigerians' interest, which actually is the Nigerian policy, first of all, fine, but not to be wasteful when it comes to public assets, public funds, or resources. Now, it should make it also attractive for investors at the same time. The National Assembly, which is complicit in these jamborees, should also aid in trimming the provisions for trips overseas in the 2024 budget estimates. I'm Odiawa AI for Veegil Media, and the show has been Viewpoints, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. You do well to follow us across various social media platforms, and also don't forget to download the app on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Thanks for watching.